Hi. I wanted to make this video because I've been thinking. And this time I've been thinking about health and specifically about whether I'm doing enough now to protect my health for the future. So I'm in my 50s now and I'm starting to realise that health is just about the most important thing in life, because if you don't have good health, it's going to be difficult to enjoy the other good things in your life. So this needs to be taken seriously. If you've watched my previous videos, you'll know that I like taking big subjects like this and breaking them down into something that feels more manageable, and then introducing some small but hopefully powerful changes that move me in the direction of where I want to be in the future. It's important to me that I can enjoy my life now, but I also want to know that I'm on the right track for making my future look good too. And in that future, I want to be as healthy as possible. So it seems like a good idea to put some thought into this subject and to share what I find. One of the other subjects that's on my mind at the moment is retirement, and I've been doing quite a lot of research about how to prepare ahead to have the best time. And I keep coming back time and again to the message that health is the most important thing for a great retirement. You know, you can always cut back on spending or find ways to increase your income. You can take up new hobbies, you can make new friends. But if you don't have good health, to be able to enjoy those things, none of it's really going to make as much difference to your life. So I'm not saying that you can't have any fun if you have some health challenges, because I know that isn't true. But protecting your current level of health and, trying to improve it where you can is almost certainly going to bring improvements to your life. I can already tell that some of the things I've tried are making a difference. So I know that this is worth making some time for. So, what does good health even mean, and how do we know if we're on the right track? So I don't know about you, but I didn't pay much attention to my health when I was younger. I didn't think it mattered. I think maybe I thought it all came down to luck anyway. And I'd always felt okay day to day, so, why did I need to change anything? Well, I guess the truth is that as as you get older, your body gets a bit more sensitive, a bit less resilient. So taking care of your health does become more important. I guess I'll have to hope that I haven't done too much damage to my health, because there's nothing I can do about the past. So let's just focus on looking ahead and, see what can be improved for the future. I'll be keeping my usual rules in place, that any changes I need to make need to be easy and mustn't make my life now any less fun. So what does good health look like? I've done plenty of research on the subject, and there does seem to be a lot of different opinions out there about how to be healthy, but I'm looking for some simple guidelines that are realistic to achieve and to sustain into the future. And I want good health to mean more than just not having an illness. I want it to mean feeling good, feeling strong, and feeling healthy. So I've used that as my guide when trying to decide on my approach. I flipped it around the other way and spent some time thinking about what it is that might stop me from feeling good and feeling strong and feeling healthy. And I've narrowed it down to 3 main areas that seem likely to be the most impactful. And they all seem to offer plenty of opportunities for making small but meaningful changes. So here are the 3 that I've decided to focus on. So first is to reduce my exposure to toxins and other bad stuff. And secondly, to move more. and third is to take some supplements. So I think all of those things are likely to help me feel good, feel strong and feel healthy, and also improve my long-term health. And they also don't sound too tricky to get started with and make some changes. You know, I'm not really interested in fads or get fit quick promises because I've wasted too much time and energy on those in the past. You know, this is going to be about small, impactful changes that are easy to stick to, with the aim of taking me in the right direction for the future and helping me to relax, knowing that I'm not ignoring my health and just hoping for the best. And I'm taking some actions so that I can plan for the best in my future. So I think I have stopped thinking about health as being about luck, and I want to make some good choices instead. So if we're playing the long game, I want to know what my starting point is. So I decided to note down some health-related numbers because I think I'll be interested to keep an eye on them over time. You know, if I'm serious about long-term health, I'd like to be able to measure it somehow. So I think the important thing day to day, you know, is how I feel, but I also think it's useful to have an awareness of some of the health-related numbers that doctors tend to check on. I mean, you don't need to do any of this, but if you want to do the same, I've noted down my height, my weight, my waist measurement, my blood pressure, my resting heart rate, my temperature, and my blood sugar level. I took all of those measurements first thing in the morning before I'd eaten because I know some of those things can fluctuate throughout the day. I did have all of the equipment I needed to take those measurements, apart from the blood sugar level. So I bought a little kit off Amazon, which I've been really pleased with. It didn't cost much at all, but it is a finger prick test, so you do have to be a little bit brave. But I think it's worth it, and I even tested the other members of my family with it, and you know, it's reassuring to know that their blood sugar levels seem to be fine and no trip to the doctor required. So I've noted down all of those numbers and I'm planning to forget about them for now because I don't want to obsess about numbers. I just want to be able to look back on them in the future. I also wrote down a little summary of just how I'm feeling at the moment. Just things like how I'm sleeping, what my energy levels feel like through the day, what my fitness level feels like, and just what my overall health feels like at the moment. So I won't share all of those personal details, but I'd say I'm probably fairly average for most things, whatever that means. So let's forget about that for now and start looking for some opportunities in each of those 3 areas that I decided on to see if we can start making some changes. So the first one was trying to reduce my exposure to toxins and other bad stuff. So I think the subject of what counts as a toxin can be a bit controversial. And I've found that even within my own family and friends, we often don't agree. So you might need to make your own decision about that. But for me, I decided firstly to replace seed oils in my diet with more natural fats like olive oil and coconut oil. So a seed oil is basically a vegetable oil that's extracted from seeds of plants like sunflower or canola. You know, they sound innocent enough, but I've been hearing for a while that they may not be as innocent as they sound, and they're probably bad for our long-term health. So it's taken me a while to take that seriously, but I feel like I've done enough research now to be satisfied that I'd prefer to avoid them. And it's been quite an easy switch to make. At home, I just started buying olive oil and coconut oil instead, and I use either of those depending on what I'm making. I've also switched to buying butter now instead of other spreads. It is a bit more expensive, but it tastes nice, and it's a much more natural product. And I try to use it quite sparingly to make it last a bit longer. And I feel good about making those changes for me and my family, particularly the coconut oil, because there seems to be quite a lot of information out there about the potential health benefits of coconut oil that I wasn't aware of before, and I would never have thought of buying it. I found it's a bit more difficult to avoid seed oils if I'm not eating at home. But that's, this whole thing is not really about perfection. It's about taking manageable steps. So if I can avoid seed oils at home, then that's a good start. The next thing I've been cutting down on is processed food. So I've read some interesting books on this subject, and I do feel quite convinced that my long-term health will be better without them. And our food supply is kind of flooded with them now, so it's hard to know where to start. And it did take a bit of planning, but I have been able to make some easy changes to more natural food products. For example, I used to often buy flavoured yoghurt, but now I buy natural yoghurt that doesn't have any other ingredient in it than milk. And I add my own flavours to it, like honey or fruit, and it tastes nice, and there's no emulsifiers and gums and those other horrible sounding ingredients. So I took the time to go through the products that I usually buy, and I tried to make some easy switches to more natural products. So things like buying meat instead of meat products, and trying to avoid things that have a long list of ingredients. But if something does have a list of ingredients, I just check to see if I know what they all are. And you do soon learn which are the things that you want to avoid, and which of the products are more natural. So the effort part, it doesn't last for very long, and switching to more natural products can be a bit more expensive. So I've found that, buying frozen and other sort of switches can help to balance out that difference. But again, it's not about perfection. It's about taking steps in the right direction that are easy to implement. And life shouldn't be without treats. So, even if your favourite things are bad, just try to have them a bit less often. I've actually been interested to find out that I have less desire for the bad things after I've paid more attention to the ingredients list. Viewing the treats in that way definitely makes them a bit less appealing, and I'm finding that I don't want to consume some of those strange sounding ingredients anymore. So those are a few of the things that I'm trying to reduce my exposure to, but I'll definitely be revisiting this subject because there are plenty more toxins all around that I could look to reduce, but I'm taking it one step at a time. And the changes that I've made already were easy, so that won't put me off looking for more changes to make in the future. I know that I'm not likely to see instant results from these changes, but just as being exposed to some of these toxins doesn't generally cause problems straight away. But I'm confident in the reading and the researching that I've done, so I'm going to believe in the power of those changes to support my future health. And I'm sorry if I've picked on something that you like and called it a toxin. So the next health theme is to try moving more. So I think we all know that we should do this, but how do we realistically make that happen? I'm already quite good at making sure I go for a walk every day, but I've decided to make that non-negotiable whatever the weather. And, if I need any extra motivation to still go in bad weather, I just try and remind myself why I'm making these changes. Because I really am serious about trying to plan for a healthy future. And when I think about it like that, it gives me an extra boost. And actually, I found that it's quite fun going for a walk in all different weathers. And, there's no such thing as the wrong weather, just the wrong clothes. I'd say that probably my biggest problem with moving more is that I have a desk job. So I spend most of the day sitting down, and I know that's said to be bad for long-term health. I do actually have a desk that can be used for standing, but most days I forget to use that option and I just sit down all day. So to get around that, I've set myself an alarm for 10:30 and 3 o'clock every day to make sure that I'm having a couple of 30-minute standing up sessions. It's a simple change, but I've actually been feeling the benefits of that already, and I wouldn't have done that without this extra push that I'm giving myself. And after I realised how useful those reminders were for helping me stick with that change, I introduced a couple more reminders to stand up and do 10 bodyweight squats at 11:30 and 1:30. It probably takes me less than a minute, but it makes sure that I'm breaking up those long periods of sitting down, which I've read can be very impactful on long-term health. So both of those changes are going really well, and they're actually helping me feel more energized throughout the day. So although I'm doing them with the future in mind, they're helping me already. They've both been easy to implement, and they're making my days feel better. So they're a perfect fit for this. I know there's still more that I could do with moving more, but I'm happy with just bedding those things in for now. And then the final health theme today is to take some supplements. So the reason this one ended up on the list is because after all the reading and researching I've done, I find that I believe the people who say that it's probably impossible to get all the nutrients that we need just from our food. And I also think those nutrients do become more important as we get older. So I'm already trying to focus more on eating well, but I think it's also a smart move to take some supplements to help support long-term health. Now, I know I'll continue to read and research about this subject because I've enjoyed the time that I've already given to it, and the experience of testing some of them out. And I can honestly say that I've already experienced some health improvements from the supplements I've been trying. So that's even more motivating. I've noticed my hair and nail strength improving, my sleep quality and my energy levels improving too. I know that there's some people that say there isn't much evidence to support taking supplements, but I'm happy to be my own evidence, and I'm definitely converted to the benefits of supplements, and I haven't finished exploring the subject, and it's been an interesting one. So anyway, I will share with you what I'm taking. It's a big subject, and people's needs can be quite individual, but I think a good place to start is to choose your brand. So if you choose a high quality brand who seem passionate about the subject, and you can read their information on their website. So I think that's a good place to start. And the things that I take every day are magnesium and vitamin C capsules, and I add electrolyte drops to my drinking water. If I was just going to choose one thing, I think I'd take the magnesium, particularly at night before I go to bed, because I used to get muscle twitches and leg cramps at night, and that does not happen anymore, and I'm sleeping better since I started taking magnesium. So it was an easy change to introduce some supplements, and You know, there is obviously a cost, and I've actually spent quite a lot of money on trying different supplements, but I don't regret it. And, you know, I've found that if you struggle to swallow tablets, then there's often liquid or powder options. I take mine with meals, and that helps me to remember. But you could also set an alarm to make sure you don't forget. And I think when you start to feel the benefits, you probably be less likely to forget to take them. And I know that's what's happened for me. I even take them with me now if I go away for a night or two, because I really feel that they're doing me good and I don't want to miss any days. So we can't predict the future, but I think I've researched this subject enough to believe that taking supplements is a sensible step to take for long-term health. So that's how I got started on those 3 areas that I chose as being important for long-term health, which were cutting down on bad stuff, moving more, and taking some supplements. I'll continue to work on all of them, but I'm really happy with the changes I've been able to make, and I know that they'll be easy to stick with and to build on. And if I ever need any extra motivation, I'll just keep reminding myself why I'm doing it, because I really do want to try and protect my health as I get older, so that I can plan and look forward to a great retirement when the time comes. So, back to the original question. Am I doing enough now to protect my health for the future? Well, I know I'm doing more now than I was before, and I know that I've thought carefully about the changes that I made as being ones that should help me to feel good and feel strong and feel healthy into the future. And I feel pleased to have given some thought to how I can take charge of my health now before it tries to take charge of me. And, you know, I hope you'll feel motivated to do something similar. So I hope you've taken something useful from this video, but I think that's all for this time. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.